Alright guys, so I'm just gonna quickly jump into my laptop and let's take it from there. So fasting by hour. So I'm gonna walk you through the entire process of pretty much 2 to 3 days of what's happening in your body when we start to fast. And in particular, this is more maybe related to the water fasting rather than the dry fasting or any other fasting. So let's start with the 12 hours. And in 12 hours, when we start to fast, our body starts to produce human growth hormone, or we get like a spike, like a really huge spike in the production of our growth hormone. Now, when we are kids, our body produces a lot of human growth hormone that helps us develop as the adults. It helps us grow. It helps us develop our bones, our skin, and our hair, and things like that. And as we age, and we just around 30 or even older, our body produces very little to none of the human growth hormone, and it is very important for us to actually find the ways of how to do it naturally. And therefore, fasting and exercising is one of the best ways of actually having some human growth hormone produced in our body. Now, why is the human growth hormone important? One thing, it's called youth hormone. So it actually, while we very much take advantage of that when we're kids, but also when we grow older, we also want to have the stronger bones, the longer lasting skin, as well as hair. Not my kind of situation, but doesn't matter, and things like that. So that helps a lot. The growth hormone helps a lot in that. It is also known as the fat burning hormone. So the bodybuilders, it is very common for the bodybuilders, for the fitness athletes, as well as fitness models, to actually to embed or to make their physique really looking amazing. And they would inject the human growth hormone manually with the needles themselves in the abdominal area. And that is why this area in particular is very, very, very lean, because I don't know myself personally any substance that would burn the fat better than the actual human growth hormone. Now, it's also known as a muscle building hormone, and it helps our body build as well as maintain the lean muscle. So that is another great thing to consider. And it also is known as the accelerated healing hormone, and especially when it comes to the bones. So any kind of bone injury, or maybe broken bone or broken arm or leg, that would be the best idea to do it, as well as that would be most probably the first thing that would happen in the hospital if you would be with that kind of injury. And so once again, I'm going to mention that if you want to get ahead of everyone as well and get even more of that produced of growth hormone in your body, then you can also do some HIIT training, high intensity interval training. I'm sure you know what it is, as well as resistant training, which is literally weight training. If you will have some questions, if you're not sure what the HIIT is, I don't want to make this video too much longer, so please ask those section below, and I'm going to be more than happy to answer all the questions for you. And now let's move to another stage, which is 16 hours in the water fast. And that is another incredible thing that happens in our body, and that is called autophagy. Now, the autophagy is now being very popular and is being spoken about by many different YouTubers, by many different doctors, and so on and so forth. Now, before you understand what the autophagy is, I need to explain it to you what happens before the autophagy and why does our body start to do the autophagy. Now, when our body is not in the fasted state, when it's in the usual state, which we call normal state, where we give our body food every 2 or 3 hours or so, our body grows cells, and those would expand. The cells would divide and they would multiply, and it would grow more, and it just becomes a huge mess, and they become really inefficient. Now, when we stop giving the food to our body, it gets into a starvation mode and into kind of a protection mode. Our body starts to recycle the damaged cells, the old cells, the dead cells that became dormant, that they are not efficient enough, and then it will take the parts from those cells, the good parts from those cells, and the bad things, the entire bad cell, the dead cell, or maybe the toxins inside the cell, the bacteria inside the cell. It will recycle and preserve the recycled material for the energy, as well as it will take the good parts that left from the old cells, and it will then use it for the new cells to be regenerated. And then the autophagy is the two-step process, what I mentioned already. So the first cycle would be the recycling, and then the second cycle would be the rebuild. So we first recycle everything that we don't need and everything that is damaged and so like not effective anymore. And then when we finish the fast, then we refeed. And that is very important to actually take this very carefully and do it very carefully in the way that you would put only the most highest quality organic foods, as well as the highest, so like a nutrient dense food in your body when you be refeeding, because this will complete the autophagy in a very strong way. Now let's move to the 24 hours. Our body is made out of cells, and we have blood cells. We have all kind of specialized cells such as blood cells, muscle cells, bone cells, heart cells, skin cells, brain cells, and so on and so forth, right? When we age, some of those cells get damaged and grow old and become less efficient. Skin lacks elasticity, bone becomes weaker, and all the other stat stuff, right? Stem cells are cells that don't have the speciality, like the heart cells do, make our heart stronger, like the bone cells make our bones stronger, like the skin cells make our skin more elastic and things like that. However, while not being specialized, the stem cells, they are compelled to help other cells, and so stem cells are also called healing cells. It comes inside our body and it looks to where or which cells are damaged and which died out and which cells need most help, and then they go and do the help of healing those cells, as well as regenerating and making more new cells. So that is a very good thing to happen for us, and it starts pretty much in 24 hours in the water fast or any other kind of fast. It says that the dry fasting could start this process a lot earlier, but myself, I'm supporter of the water fasting, and that starts in just about 24 hours while you're in the fast. So nothing like a week or 2 weeks in the fasting you need to wait, only 24 hours, and you get the stem cells being produced in your body. So now let's move to another thing that happens in 24 hours, and that would be BDNF and CRP levels going down and BDNF going up. Now BDNF, I'm gonna read this out. BDNF is our brain fertilizer. When we put our body in stressful situations, in this case we would be fasting, but that also could be chronic stress and problems and things like that, anxiety, our body upregulates BDNF production to heal our brain, to support it, as well as to build new brain neurons, for us to be able to adapt to the new environment, which is stressful situations. In this case, it would be fasting. And so if you suddenly feel more sharper or stress relief and more relaxed, that is BDNF at its finest, and it could very possibly be the sign that something else is about to happen. And yes, that will be the signs of the ketone bodies in our brain, but that is in the next page, so let's talk about it in the next couple seconds. And now the CRP levels will go down just around 24 hours in the actual water fast, and CRP in simple words would be inflammation. So those of you with the arthritis or things like deep inflammation, like golfers elbow injury, or the otherwise they call it another very similar injury, which is tennis elbow injury. So those will start to feel relief as well, just by around 24 hours in the water fasting. Now let's move to the last. So I'm not going to keep you here for too much longer. Now I'm going to move to the last and one of my favorite ones, and that is the actual ketosis. Now, for thousands of years, the fat has been utilized as the energy source for our body, and is and not stored as it is nowadays. Almost like the food industries imprison the fat into our bodies and let the carbs, otherwise known as glucose, rule, as well as kill the world with the obesity. But if we fast long enough, or if we follow the ketogenic diet, we bring the fat out into the open, and we start to again use it as the primary source of energy, which is also superior source of energy. I'm going to leave you with the thought of think of the source of energy that we actually generate ourselves inside our body from the things that inside of our body, to compare to the energy that is generated from the sugary foods, the processed foods, carbohydrates, and things like that. And so that's why the ketogenic diet is becoming very popular, as well as it's very efficient, because it's inside our liver we start to generate the ketone bodies, which now gives the energy for our brain. That's why lots of people sort of experience the clarity because it's a lot cleaner energy for our brain, as well as the not just weight loss. Weight loss would be the side effect, but more like fat loss, especially from the abdominal area. That's sort of like is very visual, because the more in the ketosis that we time we spend, the more we actually dig into the fat reserves and actually take that fat and turn it into the energy. Now, fasting is not the only way. You can also follow the ketogenic diet to keep yourself into ketosis, and you can keep checking if you are in ketosis with the ketosis uh, urine ketone stripes. So that would be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was not too much boring. Sorry that I have to keep my videos locked into this kind of a green screen room, but very shortly I'll be traveling back to my country. I'll be putting a lot more different content than this. I'll be hitting the gym. I will show you some exercising, how it works and how it builds the body and things like that. So if you like this video, please give me a like. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment sections below. Questions from this in particular content that I put, maybe something that I didn't mention, and maybe you would like some more information on that, please ask the same things as well. And in the meantime, I'm gonna head to my computer. I'm gonna edit this video and I'm gonna post it because I'm already 2 days late for posting this video. So please guys, in the meantime, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.